Hello, my name is Beata. In this episode, I will be reviewing this beautiful book for you, and this is Tarot Deciphered by T.Susan Chang and Meleen. So, in one sentence, overall, this is a very good book to have, and there is a lot of information packed into it, but I think that sometimes it just fails to deliver the knowledge in an accessible way. And I'm going to give you some examples of that in a moment. Aesthetically, this is a very beautiful book, and I think the cover is very well designed. It also has this satin effect that is very nice to the touch. So it's quite a large book, as you can see, and there is quite a lot of information in it. So it's really more of a reference book, and it's designed in a way that you can easily find the card that you want to read about. Okay, so let's have a quick look inside now. So we have our introduction here. Let me just move it so you can see. So there is a bit about astrology, there is a bit about Kabbalah. So everything is explained to you in like the most basic terms. So you get like an introductory knowledge into astrology and Kabbalah with this book, which is, I think, is really good. There's also a bit about mythology, and the other really great thing about this book is that it compares the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot with Thoth Tarot. So every card will be described for both of these systems, and I think this is really good if you were reading from Rider-Waite-Smith and now you are moving on to Thoth. So this book will give you a very nice comparison. Okay, so we have a bit about major arcana, and this is like an introduction overall. And you can see there's astrology as well. So let's have a look at one card from major arcana, and we have the Fool here. And these are just some basic associations of the card, so the number of paths on the tree of life, the Hebrew letter, and themes and keywords. Now this is very useful when you're just starting to learn, because you get these basic keywords that will allow you to draw meaning from the card. So the first section here is about astrology and the element. So it will tell you about the astrology of the card and what element it's connected to. So in this case, it will be the element of air. And now we have mythology and alchemy. So it will tell you a bit about mythology and what mythical characters are associated with this card. And I feel like a lot of explanations in this book are heavily based on Crowley's The Book of Thoth, but this book offers like a simplified version of that, because we know that Crowley, for example, goes into deep detail about the Fool card, and there's like several pages there, and here we have it like a condensed version of that. So there's mythology and alchemy. There's also the Tree of Life. So we have a description of what path is connected with this card and what it means. And you will also see in this book images of cards from different decks. So this is also a good way to find another deck that you might really like and want to buy. Now we have the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism, and we have Thoth symbolism. So this is actually very good. You can just compare what this card is like in both of those decks. We also have a bit about related cards and some advanced concepts for further exploration. So these are really just like little pointers for you for a further study. So for example, if you see here magical weapon, the dagger or fan, you might want to look up what are magical weapons and what kinds there are. So you will find out a bit more, you will go more in depth into this. So let's now have a look at one of the pips, if we can find one. Okay, this is still major arcana. Four of Cups, okay. So we begin with just a few details about this card, and because this is one of minor arcana cards, we have the dates connected with this decan, the astrology of the card, the element, and all of the little details here This book also tells you about what is the Picatrix image for this decan and what is the image from Agrippa for this decan. So this is also some more information if you wanted to go more in depth into looking at this card. So we also have here the description of the astrology and the element of this card, the mythology and what time of year this card is connected to. There is a bit about Kabbalah, and you can see also one of the cards from different deck. This is from Tabula Mundi Tarot. And of course, we have a comparison of the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism and then thought symbolism of this card. And then we have related cards here as well. Let's also have a little look at one of the court cards to give you an idea of what they look like, what way they are described. Oh, Princess of Cups, yes, I wanted that one. So you can see that this section is very similar. We just have different elements here because it's a court card. So we will have the tetragrammaton, we will have the geographical quadrant because she's a princess. Okay, so let's see here. So we have astrology again. We have the elements. Here we have the card from Tarot de Marseille. And there's also a little description of the geomantic figure and I Ching hexagram. And of course, we have here a comparison of the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism and Thoth symbolism. And we have our related cards. And I want to read to you a fragment from this book just to illustrate that sometimes it is not giving you the knowledge in the most accessible form. So I will just read from the description of the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism of the Page of Cups. And it says here that hers is the only court styled as a stage card. Her imagination is the theatre of the heart. Unlike her family, she is separate from the waters of the suit. Like other pages, she wears on her head an elemental signifier, here a turban whose plume froths like a wave. Her blossom-bedecked tunic reminds us she is the lotus of the palace of floods. So I feel like sometimes in this book we have these really obscure references, like here when it says she is the lotus of the palace of floods. Like if you don't already know what this reference is about, you will not understand. So I feel like this book on one hand is really accessible to the beginner, but on the other hand, like within the descriptions of the cards, sometimes it will just mention things without explaining them in any way. And, you know, like you would then need to look into it further and find maybe another reference book and try to figure out what is this all about. And I understand that this book is already quite big, as you can see. So maybe including more information in it, you know, would just make it too large to be printed. But I also feel like the layout of this book favors images over text. Because if you look at this page, for example, there could be a text next to those images, but we don't have it here. So I feel like different images of cards from different decks and all of the geomantic figures and hexagrams, they are just taking too much space in the book, but we could actually have more in-depth explanations of the things that are mentioned here, just instead of like having a lot of empty space. So this is just my view because I like to have everything explained in like excruciating detail, as you probably know from my other videos. But I think that overall, this book is a very useful one to have, even though it has some minor flaws, but you know, like nothing is perfect. I think overall, this is still a very good book, especially if you are coming from Rider-Waite-Smith to Thoth, because this book will give you this comparison of both of those systems. So I actually think that this is the most useful part of the book, that we get both of the symbolisms explained right next to each other. And I think this is especially useful with the chord cards, because there is a lot of confusion, like which chord cards are which in both of the systems. And there is a little chapter in this book that addresses this issue. So it explains, like, is the knight of Thoth the knight in Rider-Waite-Smith, or is he the king? So in the book, he is assigned to the king in Rider-Waite-Smith, but there is also a little chapter that explains a bit the controversy behind this, and it also says that it might not be so straightforward. And I think I will just create another episode for you about the chord cards in Rider-Waite-Smith and in Thoth, and which one is which in which system. And the authors of this book also have a podcast. It's called Fortune's Wheelhouse, and they have like separate episodes about all of the cards. So you can listen to that as well. And I think because the podcast is more like a conversation between them about the cards, so I think it's a bit more accessible form rather than just reading about one of the cards in the book. So I think these two complement each other very well. So I think if you do these two things together, listen to one of the episodes and then read about the card in the book, that is going to be very good for you for learning. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like the video, leave a comment, and of course subscribe to my channel. I would like to thank everyone who is already supporting the channel. I appreciate your help very much. And as always, if you find my videos valuable, you can show your support by becoming a patron or with a one-time donation through PayPal. All of the links are in the video description below. Thank you very much for considering this. Your support allows me to continue making these videos for you. Once again, thank you all for today, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Thank you. Bye.